Welcome to the Mike Litton Experience Podcast. Mike has over 31 years experience in real estate, finance, and investing. He's passionate about being a father, a teacher, a realtor, an investor, and a leader. Everyone has a story, and our passion is to help them tell it. And now, introducing the host of the Mike Litton Experience, Mike Litton.
So what is my time? My time is a set of experiences that have happened over my lifetime that I hope will be of value to you. Hi, I'm Mike Litton. This is the Mike Litton Experience, and this is Mike Time. So for those of you that have been following the podcast and listening to the Mike Time episodes, you know how unbelievably proud I am to be a dad. And our firstborn, Michael, was born and by C-section, and that was quite an experience. My wife tried to have the baby tried to have Michael by natural childbirth, and it didn't work. And I talked with her doctor afterwards, and I said, look, the next baby we need to do by C-section, because these kids just their heads are too big. They're not going down the birth canal. And she agreed with that after the experience that we had with Michael. So with Madison, there really wasn't a question. So 20 months later, it's time to have Madison. And we scheduled our time to go in. She was actually born a week early. Michael, if you remember, was born actually 2 weeks late. So we scheduled it for a Friday. It was the 16th of June. And we went in early morning, and they did the epidural and dialed up the pain medication and all that kind of thing. And we did the C-section. So here we are back 20 months later in the same hospital, in the same maternity ward, in the same operating room. This time, they don't stop anything in the middle and don't show me, the baby has, she didn't have the cord wrapped around her neck or any of that kind of stuff. And she was born very, pretty simply. Like it was pretty flawless. They handed her to me. Now I'm a dad that's had a baby for 20 months, and so I know how to hold a baby and all that kind of thing. And Madison was a little fired up. She wouldn't open her eyes. Like for the first 60 days that Madison was with us, she wouldn't open her eyes. Apparently it was too bright here. It was darker in the womb, right? So anyway, for the first 60 days, she didn't like all the light. She just wouldn't open her eyes that much. So she had her eyes closed, and she really wasn't crying that much. We went into the nursery, which I now knew, and I knew the head nurse. I knew all the staff and everything. So we go in and we do everything we just did with Michael 20 months prior. And I rented the room just like I did before. So then we had the 2 beds. So it was now a private room, just the 3 of us. And my parents were watching Michael, who was 20 months old at the time, obviously. And so we're sitting there on the next day. So this is on Saturday, or on Friday. Madison's born on the 16th. This is Saturday, the next day. We're sitting there, and my parents had just brought Michael up, and he had just met Madison for the first time. And I'm telling you, it was one of the cutest things you've ever seen in your life. We brought Michael into the room, and Madison is in the bassinet in the room next to her mother. And Michael walks up, and he just is in awe of this baby. He's just in awe, right? And you can see his mouth's open and his eyes are big and wide, and he just walks up and he just pats her on the head and he says, baby. And I'm telling you, it was one of the most touching things you've ever seen in your life. I'm getting emotional just talking about it. And it was a very, very cool moment. So that happens, and then we go outside because we want Miriam to get some rest and Madison to get some rest. So we go outside. We're talking outside the room, the hospital room, in a little area that you can sit and talk. So we're sitting there visiting, and I'm kind of fussing with Michael and playing with him and stuff, because I hadn't seen him in a couple of days, obviously. And so I'm talking with my parents, and the head nurse walks up, and she says, hey, Mike, tomorrow is Father's Day. I said, yeah. And she said, and there's a news crew from Channel 739, the NBC news station here in San Diego, downstairs, and they want to interview a new dad. And we took a vote, and all of us voted unanimously that you were the cutest dad in this maternity ward. And I said, well, thank you. I appreciate that. That's a little embarrassing, but thanks, right? And she said, so we've nominated you to go. And I said, okay, so can they come up here and interview me? And she said, no. And I said, well, then do I have to go? So she said, no, you have to go downstairs and go outside. I said, pass. And she said, I told him you wouldn't do it. I told him that you would not leave that baby. And I won't. I wouldn't. There's no way. So I'm not going to go downstairs leave that baby and leave my wife, who are both asleep, right? And my parents are there, and I mean, there's family there and everything. I'm not leaving them. It's not happening. So I'm not doing that to be interviewed for a Father's Day thing that they're doing on the news. No, thanks anyway. So they ended up finding somebody else. Here's the thing. For those of you that heard the previous podcast episode about Michael being born and how I learned what it was like to be a dad and how unbelievably proud I am to be their father and to be the head of the family and to be there for them, there wasn't any way that I was going to give up on that. So that same intensity I brought with me, and that same protectiveness, that same protective nature, I brought with me when Madison was born, that I had when Michael was there, right? I wasn't going to chance anything happening to this child, and so or to Michael. So here's the thing. It doesn't matter what's happening around you. What matters is what's happening with your family. What matters, as far as I'm concerned, is focusing on doing the absolute best job you can as a dad, as the leader of your family. If you don't lead your family, somebody else is going to. You don't want to leave, dads, you don't want to leave the leadership role or the leadership opportunity up to somebody else. Because if you don't take that lead, if you don't take that opportunity, if you don't lead your family, somebody else will take those reins. And to me, I was never going to allow something like that to happen. So here's the thing. If you're a dad, you need to count your lucky stars. You need to count your blessings. You need to thank God that He blessed you with these children. And you need to take your job as a dad very, very seriously. Your job is to protect them. Your job is to guide them. Your job is to teach them. I told my kids the entire time they were growing up, I'm not here to be your best friend. I'm here to prepare you to go out into that big, beautiful world. And you will not, as my child, go into that big, beautiful world and be a burden on society. I'm not having anybody else raise you. I'm raising you. So when they had situations where they had friends that got to do things that they didn't get to do, they would come home and tell me about it. Well, I'm not raising those children. I'm raising you. This is about me preparing you. You may not like the decisions that I make. You may not like the fact that I'm saying no to you about something that you want me to say yes to. But I'm doing it because I believe it's in your best interest. And my job is to prepare you to go out into that big, beautiful world and be a leader and contribute and to leave this world better than how you found it. I hope that helps you. I hope you enjoy the Mike Litton experience and specifically Mike Time. And I hope you have an amazing day. Dads, get after it. Take your job seriously and count your blessings. Have an amazing day. We hope you enjoyed another episode of the Mike Litton Experience. If you did, do us a favor, smash that subscribe button, tell your friends, family, and coworkers about our program, and wherever you get your podcasts, please leave us a rating. It helps us to connect with quality people just like you.
And that's a wrap. Another episode of the Mike Litton Experience in the books. Reach out to Mike on Instagram at Litton Realty. Want to meet with Mike? Check out calendly.com/Rio760.